Make or break day for Marco Rubio and John Kasich in their home states. But would a win even matter, or are they too far behind? Here to weigh in, our political panel, welcome Republican strategist Kathy Lynn Taylor and Democratic strategist Chuck Rocha. Thank you both for joining us this morning. It is a big day. I'm excited. How about you?
Absolutely. This is very exciting.
All right, so let's take a look, first of all, at the current delegate count. If we can pull that up right away. Trump with 460, Cruz 370 delegates so far, Rubio 163, and Kasich 63. So do or die for Rubio and Kasich. Let's start first with Florida, where Rubio just seems to continue to drop behind and fall behind Trump. What do you think will happen today with Rubio, Kathy?
Well, you got to give Rubio a lot of credit. I mean, he has basically been going door to door at this point. And while the heat is on, there are a lot of absentee ballots that have been cast in Florida. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, Trump does take it, but Rubio is giving every ounce of sweat and energy into that state that he can, and hopefully for his sake he'll end up better than he expects. Yeah. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm going to call it for Trump.
Does it matter, though, if Rubio pulls ahead?
Well, it's a winner-take-all state, so I think it matters for him in terms of maybe how he exits this race at the end of the day, his own pride, his next steps, but ultimately probably not in terms of the impact on the presidential election today.
No pathway.
Well, he is committed to unraveling Trump, and so he's in this for the long haul, whether he wins or not, I think, right now.
And Chuck, speaking of unraveling Trump, Rubio has even said, hey, over in Ohio, vote for Kasich. So will that make a difference for Kasich if he wins Ohio?
You know, we're used to talking about Ohio being the bellwether in a general election and everybody look at Ohio. Well, golly geez, it's come up again in the primary. Everything and everybody today should focus around Ohio, actually on both sides of the ticket. If Kasich was to win today, it would make it really mathematically hard for Donald Trump to have a march unless he went better than 60% of the remaining states, knowing that some of the states are still proportional. So keep an eye on Ohio, because if Kasich wins, this thing trudges forward. But if Trump wins, it's going to be hard to stop that Trump train going forward.
But would it make it possible for Kasich to have a path for victory, though? Make it more difficult for Trump to win, but is that really the goal of everyone at this point?
So you don't, if Kasich wins Ohio, it's hard for anybody to get to that magic number before the election, and that's the point I was making on mathematics. He can't win the nomination, but he could stand in the way of one at the convention.
Yeah, and what I would say is this is a 9-man race in many respects, or 8-man and 1 woman, because whoever has a delegate is still in this race to some respect if there is a contested convention. Everybody's going to be kind of fighting and going after those delegates, and so anybody who holds a delegate on the GOP side right now is still in this race in some respect.
Well, what about the Democratic side, quickly, Kathy? When should Sanders drop out?
Well, you know,
if you take a look at the current delegate count, Clinton 1,235 and Sanders with 580.
He has a long way to go, but if he has the kind of showing today that he had last week, then he can be in this for a very long time. And given the legal troubles that Hillary Clinton potentially faces, I don't think he's going anywhere until he absolutely has to. He has every incentive to stay in this race as long as he can.
What do you think, Chuck?
I think that there's more than half of the entire delegates are still up for grabs after today. Now, on our side, we have this crazy super delegate thing, and they can switch sides anytime they want to, but just on the raw delegates, we still have half the delegates to go, and I say, let my people vote.
But does it seem to you that Sanders and Clinton are worried about Trump? I mean, listening to the last town hall that they had, they spent a lot of time bashing him and talking about all the violence that's occurred at some of his rallies. Do you think that that's hurting actually all the candidates in general that are focusing on Donald Trump versus focusing on the issues?
Well, people don't pay me to talk about politics. They pay me to run campaigns. And the first thing you teach somebody in a campaign is it's a primary season. So you need to get the base of your base out. So both sides are throwing red meat. And on the Democratic side, it's easy to say and talk about Trump and talk about the general election, because that's trying to motivate your base to show up on a cold day or a warm day here on Super Duper Tuesday to get them to vote.
And we were talking about the weather conditions. It will be questionable in some areas. Thank you both for joining us. We'll see you back here in the next half hour. Chuck and Kathy, thank you.